السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Tonight, inshallah, I'll talk about Zakah. And as we know, Zakah is the third pillar of Islam. And this is mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encouraged us to pay the zakah when He said, خذ من أموالهم صدقة تطهرهم وتزكيهم بها وصل عليهم إن صلاتك سكن لهم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, take from their wealth sadaqah, which is the zakah, will purify them and also send your blessings on him, because your salah will be give them a rest. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إن المتقين في جنات وعيون آخذين ما آتاهم ربهم إنهم كانوا قبل ذلك محسنين كانوا قليلا من الليل ما يهجعون وبالأسحار هم يستغفرون وفي أموالهم حق للسائل والمحروم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described the people of Al-Jannah. They are muttaqeen and they will be in Jannat and springs, and they will take what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them, because they used to be muhsineen in this dunya, in this life. They used to not sleep that much, and when it comes to the time of Sahar, which is before Fajr, they are making istighfar, and in their wealth there is a right to those who are asking and those who are deprived. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warned those who are just collecting silver and gold and they don't pay the zakah from it, a severe warning, when He said in Surah At-Tawbah, وَالَّذِينَ يَكْنِزُونَ الذَّهَبَ وَالْفِضَّةَ وَلَا يُنْفِقُونَها فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ فَبَشِّرْهُمْ بِعَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ. Those who just collect the silver and the gold and they don't spend from it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then tell them, warn them of a severe punishment. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا يَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ يَبْخَلُونَ بِمَا آتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ وَخَيْرًا لَهُمْ بَلْ هُوَ شَرٌّ لَهُمْ سَيُطَوَّقُونَ مَا بَخِلُوا بِهِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. Don't think that those who are mean in giving from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them, that this is better for them. Actually, it is worse for them, and they will have what they gathered in this dunya around their necks on the day of judgment. So these just some of the ayahs which talks about the importance of zakah and the warning for those who are not paying zakah. عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, when he sent Mu'adh to Yemen, he said to him, you will come people of the book. So firstly, call them for shahadat la ilaha illallah and Muhammad Rasulullah. And if they obey, if they listen to this, then tell them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it fard on them 5 prayers day and night. If they listen to you and obey that, then tell them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made fard on them a sadaqah, which is the zakah. It will be taken from the rich people and it will be given to the poor people. And if they accept that, then don't take the zakah from the best of their wealth. And then he said to him, وَاتَّقِ دَعْوَةَ الْمَظْلُومِ, be aware of the dua of the oppressed person, because there is no barrier between that dua and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the scholars, they said, because the zakah is fard of farad al-Islam and the third pillar of Islam, as I said, so you must pay it on time. And also the ummah agreed that the one who doesn't pay the zakah, this means that he committing a major sin. And they differentiate between 2 types of people. There are people, they don't pay it, just laziness, they love money or something like this, And there are people, they don't pay it because they say there's no zakah. We don't believe in zakah in itself. So if a person, just because he loves the money, but he say, I wish that I can do it, I will do it, then this person, he is committing a major sin, but he's still a believer. We don't say that person is a kafir. But if a person say, no, we don't want to pay zakah at all, this is tax, this is something like this, then that person considered to be a kafir. And in the Islamic ruling, the Khalifa should send his people, and if anyone who says, I don't want to pay the zakah, then that person will be brought and will be asked, and then the Khalifa or the Amir at that time will deal with him. And even in some scholars they said the Khalifa has the full right to take the zakah from him if he likes it or doesn't like it, as long he's saying he's a Muslim, he must pay the zakah. Now, when we say zakah, we are talking about a few things that we need to understand. The first thing that is zakah in different types of wealth. So it is about the gold and silver, about the money that we have these days, and zakat al-fitr, the zakah of the business when you have shop, and also the zakah of the things that you might find on the earth, like the oil these days, and also if someone finds a treasure, if he's in one of these areas, and also the zakah of the cattle, so when you have sheep or cows or camels, and the zakah of the farming, when there's a farmer. And I think the most important thing for us here, still people who are in this country, I can say it is to do with the gold and silver and the money, and also with the wages, and also to do with the businesses. Now, there is conditions for the zakah. The first condition that the person must be a Muslim. So if he's not a Muslim, then no zakah on that person. And it's not necessary that person to be baligh aqil, as we say, that he is reached a puberty age or not. So the zakah, even if he is a little boy or a little girl, if he's sane or insane, as long as that person has money and there is person in charge of that money, then the zakah is due in that money. So I'll give you 3 examples. Say if I am an uncle and I have, my nephew, my nieces, their father died and left for them some money, and I am investing this money. And these still young, 2, 3, 5, 10, 15 years old. And these, obviously, they cannot pay the zakah themselves, but because I am the uncle and I am in charge of the affairs of these children, I must calculate the money they have, and it is, if there is zakat unit, it is my responsibility to pay the zakah from that money, even if it is £1 or £5 or £10. So I am in charge of this. The second example, say if there is a person, he has mental issues here, and because he has mental issues that he has benefits or people giving him money, and he's putting this money in the bank. So he's spending on himself, but every month he keeps some money, and this money reaches the nisab, which we'll talk about it in a minute. But I am in charge of that person. Yes, he's my son, my daughter, my wife, my brother, my sister. I'm in charge, and that person now has the money in his account or that money in the house. So again, because I am in charge and that person cannot deal with with his money doesn't know how to deal with it, then I have to pay the zakah from that money. So it doesn't matter what is the situation of the person who owns the money. If he's a little boy or girl, or if that person has mental issues, the one who's in charge has to pay it. And the same, if I am a person who sane and everything, and I have the money, and then I have to pay the zakah. So this is something I've noticed from questions came to me, that some people, they don't understand the concept of this, and they think the children, no, you don't pay the zakah on the money of the children, and if there is person is insane, then you don't pay zakah. The idea is, any Muslim who has money and that money reached the nisab, and that nisab for 1 year, then there is zakah on that money. So, what is the nisab? In nisab, they are talking about silver or gold. The gold is 80 to 83 grams. And doesn't matter which karat, is it 18 or 21 or 24, doesn't matter. As long as you have 80 to 83 grams of gold, then this gold, you must pay the zakah on it, as long as you have it, for a year. So, say today is the 8th of March. And on the 8th of March, I bought for my wife 100 grams gold. And she kept it. And then the next year, in the same date, deduct the difference between the Islamic calendar and the Georgian calendar, that wife still have the 100 gram of gold. Now, the 100 gram means that it is nisab, because it's more than 80 or 83. I have to pay the zakah on that gold. The same if it is silver. The silver, 585 grams. Say 600 grams to make it easy. Again, if I bought for my daughter 600 grams of silver today, and my daughter has this 600 grams until the next year, then she has to pay the zakah, because the money, the silver or the gold reaches the nisab, and there is now 1 year passed, and she still have that money, that gold or that silver, then the zakah is due in that money. But I bought for my wife 100 grams of gold, and for any reason she found herself she needs to sell from them. She sold half of it, and the year came, and she has only 50, because yes, at the beginning of the year she has 100, but maybe just before or January, if we talk about March, she sold half of it, and only she has 50. In this case, there is no zakat due. Why? Because during the year, the nisab dropped, so she doesn't have the money for a whole year. The idea is, you must have the gold or the silver, if we talk about these two, for the full year. Obviously, it is 1 or 2 days, then it doesn't, we don't need to think about this, because at the end of the day, the zakah, brothers, is ibadah. So when you are giving zakah, you are actually practicing ibadah as you are praying salah, as you are fasting Ramadan, as you are doing hajj. It is ibadah. It is not something that you do it because you're forced to do it. No, you are doing it, and you are looking for the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, this is the nisab for, as I said, for the gold and the silver. What about money? Now the scholars, they said, shall we calculate the nisab Remember, when I say nisab, the amount of money that you must have for a year. Shall we calculate the nisab according to silver or gold? Some scholars, they said gold, because this was at the time of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, which is, they say 20 mithqal, and for these 20 mithqal you can buy 20 sheep at that time. And still until now, if you have 20 mithqal of the gold, which is equal to 83 grams, you can still buy 20 sheep. Then you have to stick to the gold. But there's other scholars, and I agree with them, saying we need to look at where is the benefit of the poor. So if we say these days we'd like to calculate it according to the gold. So this time the gold, I think 40 pounds time 80, so you are talking about 3,500 pounds. So anyone has less than 3,500 pounds will not pay the zakah. And where is the benefit of the faqir here? Where is the benefit of the poor people? While if we talk about the silver, 585, it is about 350, 400 pounds. This means that anyone who has about 400 pounds, this means that he has the nisab and he has to pay the zakah. So this will be in the favor of the poor people, rather, because if we just stick to the nisab of the gold, then you'll find only maybe among most of the people who are paying zakah, no one of them has the nisab. But when we talk about the 400 pounds, this means that there are many people, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, they have the 400 pounds for a year, and then they can pay the zakah, and the poor will benefit from that. For those who has businesses, what you need to do, you need at the end of your financial year, you make stock take and you make the budget, not the budget, the balance sheet. So what's your these moving assets, and how much cash you have in the bank, how much the people owe you, how much stock you have, then deduct from it how much you owe the suppliers, because this is how the business working. Then after you do all of these things, you'll find yourself you have 10,000 pounds. 10,000 pounds, this means that you have to pay 2.5%, which comes to only 250 pounds. It's not that amount. And sometimes when I hear some questions about the people's zakah, and I say, look, the zakah really, when you think about it, 2.5% is not a lot of money. For every 1,000, you pay only 25 pounds. And when we talk about 25 pounds these days, it is, if you invite a friend for a meal, you pay 25 pounds or more. So it's not a lot of money. And this is for 1,000. If it is 2,000, we are talking about 50. 100 pounds if you have 4,000 pounds. So the idea is that don't think too much about how much I pay and all of these things. It is really, when you compare it to the tax, if you are working or if you have business, you pay 20% tax and you pay 10% national insurance or more. So you don't mind to pay 20% tax and national insurance, but when it comes to the zakah, it's too much. Yeah, zakah, how much I pay zakah? Subhanallah al-Azim. So, and when you pay it all the time that you are happy with this. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tayyib. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tayyib, good. And He will not accept anything which is not tayyib. So, you must be happy to give it. And even if you find, for example, after calculation, I have to pay zakah 200 pounds. Pay 220, 250. You are not losing. Actually, you are winning, because every pound you are paying for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah promised, وَمَا أَنفَقْتُم مِّن شَيْءٍ فَهُوَ يُخْلِفُهُ. Anything you pay, Allah will give it back to you. How it will give it back to you? Different ways. Yani, I remember a brother, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him, and he told me, but this is what he told me himself, and I've seen myself different examples, but I'm talking about that particular brother. He's from Luton here, and he said to me, believe me, after I started paying my zakah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me more. And if I pay 10,000, 20,000 as zakah, I find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the next year give me more than what I paid. 3-4 times sometimes. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the name of the zakah. Zakah in itself means innama, means it will grow. This is the meaning of zakah. So when you give the zakah, actually what you are doing, you are growing your business, you are growing your money. Now some people, they say, but what if I have gold for my wife or these things, and every year she is paying from this, it will finish. And the Islam saying, no, it will not finish, because who bought this gold to that wife? Either her father or her husband or brother or these things. And these people, they gave for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if the husband, he's the one who bought this gold for her and she's paying the zakah, Allah will give him and Allah will give you, because the rizq that the husband have, it's not only his rizq. And this is something I'd like you brothers to think about it. Yani, when you have a family and you are working and earning money, the money you earn, it's not only yours, it's not only your rizq, it is your rizq, your wife's rizq. If your parents living with you, it's their rizq, your children's rizq. And when you give for the sake of Allah, it is the rizq of those that you are helping. So all of this rizq comes, but only comes through you, and you have to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And how you calculate the year, you don't calculate it according to the Georgian calendar. So as I said, today is the 10th of March. No, you calculate it as today is the 27th of Sha'ban. So next year you pay it on the 27th of Sha'ban or 26th. And like this. Do I have to delay it until Ramadan? No. Originally, I have to pay the zakah when the year completed. If I have money, and this money is the amount of the nisab, and I have it for full lunar calendar, then I have to pay the zakah on in that money. And the scholars, they said that it is haram to delay the zakah. So, because it's like the salah. Yani, dhuhr, you have to pray dhuhr on time, asr, the same. Ramadan, you cannot say, okay, I fast Ramadan because when it comes cold, for example. No, you have to fast in Ramadan itself, the same zakah. And Hajj, you don't say, okay, the Hajj on the 9th of the Qa'dah, the Hijjah, and you'll go the Eid 10th. You say, well, it's too hot in the Hijjah, let me do it when it is, when it is okay, the weather okay. It's the same. Zakah, you have to pay it on time. You can pay the zakah in advance if there is a need. So for example, you have money and you know that in Ramadan you pay the zakah every year, you pay your zakah in Ramadan. Then there is a need. One of your relatives, or there is a cause, like these days, the situation in Gaza, and you'll find there is a real cause and the people in need, and you know how much zakah you will pay. Then there is no harm in paying it in advance. 1 month, 2 months, even a year. And this has happened in the time of Umar al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala an, because in the time of Umar al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala an, what happened, there was a year, they call it Am al-Ramada, the year of like ash, because it was famine and everyone suffered. Even the income of Bayt al-Mal at that time was very, very rare. So he sent to Ibn Abbas, and Ibn Abbas was, mashallah, one of the wealthiest people in Medina at that time, and he asked him to pay the zakah of the next year. So Ibn Abbas in that year paid the zakah of 2 years in the same time to help the people because who were suffering. Now, for some types of the zakah, you don't need to wait for a year, and this is to do with the crops, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَآتُوا حَقَّهُ يَوْمَ حَصَادِهِ. You have to pay it in the harvest season. If this harvest season 6 months, 7 months, 9 months, when you have the harvest and you sell it and you calculate all the costs and all of these things, then you pay at that time. Now the question which arises a lot about the jewelry, and I can say the scholars here, they say there is 2 types of jewelry, and there is some scholars, they say no, everything considered jewelry. Those who are saying there is 2 types of jewelry, they're saying there is jewelry for that the lady will have it so she can liquidate it at any time. So it is for her, is a saved money. And this will be, goes with the custom of the women in that society. So for example, here in UK, maybe if the woman has about 1,000 gold, it's okay. But maybe in India, the woman, if she has 5,000, will be okay, but 1,000 considered as nothing. 5,000 is normal to have gold braces and all of these things, and maybe necklace. So, and maybe if in a country which is the people very rich, maybe the normal to has 10,000. So what they said, these scholars, they said, you look at the situation and the custom of that society. What is the common accepted amount of gold, which is the people, they have it just for zina. Zina means for beauty. When they are going for a wedding, or they have a party or something, or even to show, mashallah, she's okay, how much is accepted? So is it necklace, 2 braces and bracelets and all of these things, or she has 1 kilo of gold? It depends on the area. They said the gold which is for the zina, just for the beauty and these things, there's no zakat. But the gold for which kept there as a treasure, that, as I said, she keeps it, so at any time she can go and sell it and benefit from it, which is over that amount. So as I said, if there is, say in this country, say the normal is 1,000 and that lady has 5,000, so the 1,000 there is no zakah on it, the 4,000 there is zakah on it. If that area is 5,000 but she has 10,000, 5,000 no zakah, 5,000 will be zakah. This is one of the opinions. The other opinion, which is Sheikh Al-Albani with it, rahmatullah ta'ala alayh, no, zakah in everything, in all the gold that the women have, because the Quran didn't differentiate between the gold for zina and the gold that you keep as saving. And the scholars, they said, to be in the safe side, just pay the zakah on the gold that your wife has, or your sister, or your mother. And as I said earlier, the amount is not that much. Yani, even if it is 10,000, how much you'll pay? 250 pounds. So this is, yani, when you compare 250 to 10,000, really it's nothing when you compare between the two figures. So this is about the gold and silver. The silver, the people, they don't think too much about it, because even the value of the silver is most of the time is not that much. The other question is about wages. Now, I have to say clearly, there is no zakah in the wages in itself. It doesn't matter how much my wages. If my wages 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, there is no zakah in the wages in itself. That I have, when I have, say, 4,000 pounds, then I say, okay, I have to pay now 100 pounds because my wages is 4,000. No, this doesn't work like this. The zakah on the savings, because you'll find a person, he is getting only 1,000 pounds, just for, but he's saving half of it every month. And there's a person, his wages or her wages is 4,000 pounds, but when you look at the end of the month, he has nothing. So it's not about how much you earn, it is about how much you save. How much you save. Now, because of this, now a mas'ala or a matter arose. Okay, say we are in 2024, and before that, 2023. I started working in January 2023, and my wages, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, 3,000 pounds. And every month I save 500. Okay, 500 is nisab. Then the next month they are another 200-300 or 600. Keeps moving, and this money in itself goes up and down. Then by December, let us say, by the end of December, I looked, how much am I saving now? 5,000. Now here the scholars came to this matter, and there is many researches and many discussions goes around this, and the ruling regarding this matter came as follows: that because this amount you started with nisab, remember that this is an important thing. When you start calculating from the minute you have nisab. Okay, if it's at the beginning of the month, the middle, at the end, doesn't matter. And when you like to pay zakah, it will be difficult to start saying how much. So I started with 500. Okay, the 500 kept it for a year, but in February it became 700. Then there will be only 200 extra, and it will be difficult and very complicated to calculate. They said, to be in the safe side and for the benefit of the poor people, you give money, you give the zakah on the balance when the year completed. So again, I'll give the example. If I started my savings on the 1st of January 2023, by the end of December, which will be 1 year, Islamic year, then at that time I have 4,000, then I give the zakah on the 4,000. Now, in this case, the first 500 I paid their zakah, and the other I paid their zakah in advance, because the nisab of them will be later, or the year will be later, and I continue doing this every year, so all the time will be I'm in a balance, and I have paid, because the first year will be maybe a little bit difficult, but after that it will be normal, because I am continuing paying. So some of it I paid after 1 year, some of it I paid after 6 months, and so on. And from the experience, we know that maybe you start with 500 and end with 3,000, or maybe you start with 500 end with 500, because maybe during the year your car broke down, or something happened, or you bought something for the house. We are talking about how much you will have at the end of the lunar year. If it is 500, you pay 400, 1,000, 5,000, and this is the opinion of the majority of the scholars. And as I said to you, this is after a lot of research done on this matter, because it is a new matter. And in the time of Prophet ﷺ, there's no wages. The people, all of them relying on seasons. Either he's a farmer who has sheep or a small shop. This is what they used to have. But this system that you have wages and you save from these wages, it didn't exist. Even those who used to have wages, they will not save that much. They are spending it on themselves, and that's it. And here I'd like to mention another thing related to it. When I start, again, I don't start from the day I started working. So I had a new job, and they gave me the job on the 1st of January. But they pay me when? At the end of January, or the 25th of January. And then on that day, I started the saving. So the nisab, you calculate the nisab from the first day that you started saving, and then 1 year. So I'll give another example to make it more clearer. I started working the 1st of January, and in the first month, which is the 25th of January, gave me the wages. They gave me 3,000 pounds. Take the tax and these things, I had only 2,000 pounds, just for example. And yes, I have 2,000, but during this, I have to pay rent, I have to pay the water, the bills, and this. And I borrowed some money from people. So I paid them some money, and end with nothing. So I don't start from there. Maybe February, I don't have saving. March or April, I start having saving. So when I start the savings, and the savings reach the nisab, which is, as I said, about 400 pounds, then from that day, I start the calculation. Now, I started in April, and Ramadan came, and I'd like to pay my Zakah Ramadan, but it's not 1 year yet. Maybe there is this one month or 2 months. Can I do this? Yes, you can pay in advance, assuming how much I will save in the next 2 months, because there is still 2 months. In this way, I will be, inshallah ta'ala, safe. Now, who are the people that I give the zakah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made this clear in Surah Tawbah. He said, إِنَّمَا الصَّدَقَاتُ لِلْفُقَرَاءِ وَالْمَسَاكِينِ. These are the first two, and these the most two important. And the scholars, they differ who's the faqir, who's the miskin. They said, some they said al-faqir, the one who has nothing. Al-miskin, that who has something, but it's not enough. And some they said no, the other way around. So the idea is, anyone who has less than the nisab, consider faqir or miskin, to make it easy to understand. So, say someone, he's working, but only his savings is 200 pounds. Yes, he is getting 2,000 a month, but after he is paying the rent and the bills and the shopping and these things, end up with nothing. And he's struggling. Doesn't matter how much he earned, but that person can be entitled to the zakah. Why? Because he doesn't have the nisab. But someone getting 5,000 pounds, but that person extravagant, and you find him orders and all of these things, and at the end of the month he has nothing, and say, "Oh, I'm faqir now. I don't have any." You say, "You are not faqir. Your situation that you have mismanagement, because there is hundreds of people like to get 5,000, and they can save maybe half of them. But because you are doing mismanagement, we cannot consider you are faqir. We are talking about a person who is reasonable, that he's paying the rent, he's paying the bills and all of these things, and all of these things reasonable, and by the end of that person, he has nothing. Like someone who's only living on benefits. So the benefits, yes, will give him what he needs, but when the money came to the account, after 2 weeks, then there's nothing, because the expenses and the shopping and children and all of these things. Yes, that person will become now faqir. These two, the first two. فقراء المساكين العاملين عليها, those who are collecting the zakah. And these days we don't have this system, but we can say those who are working for charities and they are collecting the money, dealing with it, sending it to the other countries and all these things. They can, but again it must be reasonable. Not to take, as I've seen some charities, maybe 30%, 40% of the zakah, and they said this is administration. This is not right. Yani, even what you take as al-amilin alayha, those who are in charge, must be reasonable. Not you are half of the money that the people they are paying, you take it as admin and you give the people 50%. This is not right. It must be reasonable. And there is another called al-mu'allafati qulubuhum, which these days I consider those who are convert, brothers and sisters. Some of them, they are really in need. Yes, they are poor, became poor, and also you can give them from this share, which is mu'allafa qulubuhum, because those are that you'd like to bring their hearts to Islam, and you'd like to make them steadfast in the deen. Also, Ibn Sabil, the one who, for example, came from India or Pakistan or Bangladesh to study here, and after 2 months his money finished, and he cannot get money from his parents anymore, because all the money that they saved, they give it to this person. They thought when he comes here he managed to work and study, but he cannot work, and now he's struggling. That person you can give him, because now he is Ibn Sabil. Also those who are in debts, and if the debt came from, I can say, halal reason, not haram reason. What I mean by that? Say for example there is a business person, and that person, he has a stock and caught in fire. So all his wealth finished, and he has to pay the suppliers, and or some people, they gave him shares in the money. This person now, you can give him from that zakah. Or a person who used to work, but suddenly they made him redundant, and 2, 3 months, 4 months, there is no jobs, and he still has to pay the rent and all of these things, and he's struggling. Yes, this is debt, halal debt. But someone, he became poor, or he has a lot of debts because he bought a new car and new furniture and refurbished the house, and the refurbishment cost him £50,000 and you say, Wallahi, now I'm struggling because I don't have money. This is not that. This is, again, mismanagement. That it's your problem. It's not the problem that you have to take from the zakah. And then fi sabilillah. Fi sabilillah, originally it used to be for jihad because the Muslim ummah, they need to spend on the army. Like all the countries, they make percentage of their budget for the army. Here they do that for the army and all the countries. So in Islam it is the same. The army needs to be supported. The difference, here they call it an army, in Islam they call it mujahideen. This is the only difference. So originally this, and then the scholars, they said even fi sabilillah can be anything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even they said for da'wah. So if someone, he like to print books and make videos and all of these things, and this cost him, but he's doing this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he can take from the zakah for those things. You cannot pay the zakah for the masjid because one of the important things of the zakah, they call it a tamlik, that you have to give it to the person. So faqir, I go to him and say to him, this is the zakah. Miskeen, the same. Someone in debts, the same. Someone ibn sabil, the same. But in masjid, it is general property. It's not for Ahmed or Mahmoud or these things. And building the masjid and spending on the masjid is the duty of Muslims, because Muslims, they are using the facility of the masjid. So Muslims, they have to support it, but as sadaqah, not the zakah. And this rule going for anything that you think the person himself cannot benefit from it. And I had a question a few days ago. Someone, he said, can I pay my zakah for a water pump or a water well, or buying there is water tanks? I said, no, this cannot be zakah. Why? Because when you buy a tank, you pay £100, not only one person will benefit from this, so the whole street maybe will benefit from that. So there is no tamlik, there is no position in this situation. So this can be sadaqah. The same water well or water pump. But if there is a big family in Bangladesh, for example, or Pakistan or India or any place, or Africa, there is a big family, the father and his children and his grandchildren, they are living in this area like Berry Park, and they are poor people, and I'd like to dig for them water well, and all of the family will benefit. So now this I can give the zakat to that, because all of them will benefit from it. And after that, if they like to give water to other people, they can. So if there is one will benefit and can share it with others, there is no harm. But if you say, but these people, they are not related, so I say Berry Park now, I'd like to make a station here for water, and everyone passing Berry Park, they can benefit from it. This cannot be zakah. There is also a question saying, can I pay zakah for someone to build a house or buy a tent or something? The scholars, they said yes, as long as this will fulfill the needs of this person, because to have a place to live in is darura. It is something necessary for you to live. But again, I'll do this with a minimum. So this family needs 2 rooms. I'll build for them 2 rooms if I can, and I can consider this from the zakah. Not I buy for them you know, a big house and they want to rent and do these things. No, this is cannot be. Remember the rule, brothers, that one important thing, rule in zakah, they call it at-tamlik, that the person, he will possess this money. Another question came about food parcels. Now, as charities, we are doing food parcels. Now, can I consider the food parcels zakah? Yes, we can, as long as you trust that charity and you know these people, they are delivering what you are paying. Because what I am giving this food parcel to that family, especially in some cases, and we've seen this, if you pay the people, give them money, then they spend it in the wrong way. Yes, it is their right, they can do what they like with it. But if you know that that father, for example, he has mismanagement, go and buy cigarettes with this money, and the children, they are suffering. No, it's better to give them food parcel, oil and rice and sugar and tea and all. So all the family will benefit from it, rather than give him 50 pounds and you don't know what he will do with the 50 pounds. I think this is the most important things about the zakah, and I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help all of us to pay our zakah. And as I said, our charity Hayat Eid, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, we are delivering the zakah. We are doing this for many years now, and in most of the cases the zakah will give it cash. So you'll give us 100 pound cash, we'll give it cash to those poor people. And alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, we don't have admin at all, because I am running it from home, alhamdulillah, and there is no charges at all when it comes to the admin things. So anyone who would like to pay the zakah, you can contact me, or you can go to our website and pay that as zakah. If there is any question, تفضل. Yes. Yes, this is permissible as long as you take this money from you put it aside. You move this 1,000 pounds from your savings or your money on these things and put aside, and inform your wife and inform your children that this money, because the zakah is haqq lillah, is a right for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you are doing this because you are concerned that if you give that person the 1,000 pounds in one go, he will spend it in 2 weeks and finish. But if you say to him, I'll send you 100 pounds every month, then you know that they will benefit from the zakah. But I'll move this money, put this money aside and inform, as I said, those who are in the house, that this money is for that poor families. Even something happened to me, please consider to do this from this money. Doesn't matter, yani 1 or 2 or 3, the same. No. Understand?
My understanding was incorrectly. You have to be of a certain age. So if, let's say, from the age of 2, you have enough money, how would you go back calculating 20 days?
Now, if you can calculate it correctly, calculate correctly. If you cannot collect, then make the average or do your best, and then pay the zakah, inshallah. If you don't have all the zakah now, you can pay it in installments, as I said. So, for example, as you said, a person he has money for 5 years, okay? And he didn't understand the rules of the zakah, and then after a lesson like this, or he listened to another Sheikh and he understood, no, during these 5 years I have money and I must pay Zakah on it, but now I don't have enough money. So I calculate everything and I say, okay, this is my plan, that I know how much wages I am expecting and these things. Say the total is 1,000, but I don't have cash 1,000 now. So I start paying it 200 now, 100 now, until I finish it. And the earlier I do this, is the better, because one thing maybe I missed to talk about, that if a person dies and he didn't pay the zakah for that year, the first thing that the earth must do to take the zakah and pay to take from the capital. Before for anything, they have to pay the capital, the zakah, and anything he owes to people. So he pays the right of Allah first, then the right of the people after. There's two opinions about this. The opinion I choose, and I think reasonable opinion, that you start paying on the pension when you possess it. Because you don't know what will happen to the, maybe a government come after 2 years and they said, all the pension gone. And this happened with some companies. The people, they have thousands of pensions, then that bankrupt, and the people got nothing. And sometimes, because of the coming up and down, like what happened in 2008 and 2009. So the people who had pensions pay 10,000, they find themselves the next day becomes 30,000. So, because if it is not in your position yet, so you pay when you start getting it. Schools. If you consider that school is da'wah, so this school is doing da'wah for sabila, it can go under fi sabila. But if it is normal school, no. Yeah. Again, this is one of the matters that you'll find two opinions. One opinion, they say, don't deduct the 10,000 if you dispose in the law. Remember what I said earlier. If you are talking about business, no, you have to deduct all the money that you owe to the people, because personally I know how the business works. So sometimes you look at a shop and maybe this shop has 100,000 pounds of stock, but actually how much he has, the person, is only 10,000, and the others is suppliers, because this is how the business goes. So I cannot say to that businessman, you go and pay for 100,000. This will be unfair. But when it is personal loan, the scholars, they said, there's two opinions. One opinion, which is I found Sheikh bin Baz with this opinion, rahmatullah ta'ala alayhi, that if you owe people and you are not paying it now, so pay the zakah. And that person, that he has the 10,000, he don't pay zakah. Because we don't want to double the zakah. Clear? Good. That you have a house. The plot. There is no zakah on the plots unless it is for trade. So I have a plot for building, to build a house in it. And it's been there for 5 years, 10 years, but nothing happened on this. No, there is no zakah on it. Even if I build a house in it, there is no zakah in it. The same with anything I use to generate. So I have a van, and I use this van to make my living. So you don't pay zakah on the van. You pay zakah on what you earn, and from the earning you save. Then there is the zakah. But if I am a businessman and I have a plot here and a plot there and these things, and all these plots for business, for sale, I can sell them at any time, then the zakah will be, I have to evaluate them and pay the zakah on them. Yes. بارك الله فيكم، جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم.